Good evening, one and all. Good evening, all. Welcome to International Webinar Series on Holistic Health, Well-being and Sustainable Development 2022. On occasion of World Social Work Month, World Health Month, World Press Freedom Month, and World Environment Month 2022, commemorating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, nation celebrating 75 years of independence, in collaboration with Sri Holistic Health Foundation India and Sri Research Institute and Center for Arts, Sciences and Wellbeing. We welcome you all once again to the International Webinar Series. Before we start the series, today's session, let's take the blessings of Almighty.
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः.
Blessings of Almighty, we shall proceed to today's session. Today we have with us Mary Florence Breda, founder, Mary Florence Breda Charitable Trust, which is helping poor cancer patients for their medications. She has 16 years of social work experience, having masters in social work, presented papers at Roshni Nilaya ISPSW conference, DNR College Vivara, Rajgiri Institute of Social Sciences Kerala, Symbiosis Institute of Social Sciences Pune, NIMHANS Bangalore, and also permanent member of Indian Society of Professional Social Work and other societies. We welcome you, ma'am, once again to the international series, and we invite you to take over for your session on social policy and social legislation. Over to you.
Good evening, sir, and good evening to everyone. Thank you for the opportunity given to me, sir. I am presenting on social policy and social legislation. This paper I had presented in ISPSW conference in NIMHANS, and first we go on to the definition of social policy. Social policy is a policy for scheduled caste, a policy for backward classes, a policy for weaker sections, and a policy for women and a policy for children. It is mainly focused on the weaker section and backward classes, and it is brings new legislation for women, and it brings new policies for the children. And according to W. Arthur Lewis, what is social planning? It is the making of development plans, which seems to be the most popular activity of the governments for underprivileged countries since the war. It is one of the biggest failure, and Indians index of failure he finds is the absence of correlation between development planning and economic growth. Actually, in the social planning, he explains about the economic growth and the development planning, and how the popular activity between the governments and the underprivileged countries experienced during the war. What is social planning? According to Watson, social planning can be defined in terms of efforts to broaden the scope of development planning through determination, formulation of development objects, the incorporation of new variation into the analysis of the social process, and the new instruments of planning. That means social planning is the efforts to broaden the social planning involves development of planning in the sector, and also it includes the social policies, and it finds new inventions for and new instruments of planning. What is the word social mean? The word social means is used to primarily to mean conditions of well-being of the life of the individual, or levels of living of the population plus the conditions. The word social means, that means it describes about the conditions of the day-to-day living of the individual, and the levels, whether they are in the rich sector or middle class or poor class, and how benefit the planning can be done for each section. It speaks about that. And in the another definition of social refers to the relationship between the individuals. It can be the relationship between families in members in a family, the relationship between the superior and subordinate, there's a relationship between the students and teachers. According to another author, the word social is all commonly used to refer relationship between individuals. When students of development refer to the social aspects as obstacles for development, is very often the structural and institutional conditions they have in mind, and they form often think about while planning the structural and the institutional. It is mainly a institutional based conditions, and what they're planning they have in mind. What is the history of social planning? Indian cultural nationalism has been a fact for the last 2000 years or more. What has imperfectly achieved was politically nationalism, that is the identification of the people with the state. The contribution of the British rule lay mainly in activating the process. According to the Indian cultural nationalism, which was formed before 2000 years, it achieved only political nationalism, that is the identifications of the state and central. And it also refers to the contribution of the British rule while they were before independence it was practiced. And next is what is the social planning in India? The development of social planning refers to uniformity of administrative machinery of laws and access to Western nationalism and liberalism through the medium of the English language, set in motion forces which created a sense of identity. That means the administrative machinery of laws and the access to Western nationalism and liberalism through medium of the English language. The English language was given importance in the British time, and the motion forces which created the identification of a person, the dignity of the individual, and the equality between law and scientific outlook were some of the values which was more focused on the minds of the educated class. What is social policy? According to Professor Timmis, social policy represents a summation of acts of government deliberately designed to improve the welfare of the people. Social policy means efforts which is taken to improve the welfare and also the livelihood of the people. The most specific evidence of deliberate design of a section of policy is found in the fourth plan of the Planning Commission when it was observed. What is bureaucracy and social policy? Framing policy is the domain of the politician. Social policy is no exception. But before any policy decision is taken by the cabinet, the counters of a problem are drawn by top bureaucrats and alternative solutions with the merits and demerits present. It may be possible to say that the bureaucracy indirectly but materially uses decision making. The bureaucracy, the focus about the framing of the policy and the decision making and the policy and the merits and demerits which are presented. This about the bureaucracy and social policy. What are the new challenges in social policy? When the above analysis refers to the traditional areas of social policy such as social reform, health, education, welfare, social security, these are the new tensions arising in the process of implementation of development policies and program. For example, the industrial policy is bringing in the surfaces of adequacy of public enterprises and the conflicts of the joint sector. Uh, in this, they explain about the traditional areas such as health. Health is given importance first, second is education, third is welfare of the society, fourth is security of the people. And these are the main cause. These are the main important matters in the process of implementation and development of policy. And because of this, the industrial policy is being is bringing to surface the inadequacy of public enterprises and the conflicts in the joint sector. Problem with industrialization, economic offenses. Industrialization has given rise to the so-called economic offenses such as tax evasion, corruption, black money, hoarding, conspicuous consumption, etc. What are the economic offenses? It requires to tax, non-payment of income tax, then corruption, then use of black money, then are the different types of corruption and consumption in a illegal manner. What is a problem with urbanization? Urbanization is leading to social misdemeanor such as eve teasing called girl system. Apart from the traditional traffic in women and children, there is a perceptible rise in crime, juvenile delinquency, child neglect, etc. All these social disorganizational elements do not seem to be capable of being effectively handled through traditional planning process and administrative techniques. Urbanization means it means the usual teasing of the first years who come into the college, and secondly, it explains about the trafficking which happens to women and children, child trafficking, according to the Juvenile Justice Act about the child delinquency and child neglect. Many people are neglected, children are neglected due to poverty in irresponsibility of parents, and because of this social disorganizational elements do not seem to be capable of being effectively handled through traditional planning process and administrative techniques. What is multi-level planning and decentralized administration? Social policy makers must give serious thought about restraining development, ethnic and welfare militancy from degenerating into disarray and disruption of community life. These policy makers they think a lot about how to restrain the development of the state and society, and about the economic, empathetic and welfare militancy and degenerating into the disarray, and how to improve the community life. How do we proceed to achieve social health and human warmth? The answer to this question lies in the is a giving a new orientation as expressed in the terms of multi-level planning, decentralized administration, etc. These are embodied in the concept of democratic decentralization. That means it involves multi-level planning at the state level, national level, and the central level, and yeah, very centralized administration is performed, and also democratic decentralization is practiced. What is the failure of the democratic decentralization? Democratic decentralization was much talked when experimented with, but were perceived to its logic conclusion. We are now categorically with centrally state that this failure is mainly because of lack of involvement and a lot of enthusiasm towards the democratic decentralization. People participation is not so active in this. And what are the four suggestions uh, uh, give to a good, positive, purposeful, and effective social policy? First suggestion is that the prevailing assumption that the inherited system of administration with a little reform here and some repair elsewhere can meet the transformational and developmental needs of a country such as India with its social, technique, and economic diversity and disparities must be given up. And second suggestion is thereafter we must adopt a new system of planning and administration, and concentrate our efforts in honestly and vigorously implementing the scheme of democratic decentralization and multiple planning. Third suggestion is effective local community movement, group leadership, and local self-government are very necessary if social development and policy planning can be done correctly. The present system of the centralized planning without a tradition of for experiments in alternative planning, both at the central and both at the state and the local levels, does not suit for cultural diversity. And the fourth suggestion is citizens association with social policy formulation and implementation at the state and lower levels is the biggest challenge, and it is the greatest opportunity. The failure of and indifference to the formulation of alternative social approaches hampers the adaptation of national plans and policies to the local needs and regional requirements. Thank you, sir.
You're done with your presentation now?
Sir, I am done it, sir. Finished.
Thank you, ma'am, for your wonderful insights and on social policy and social legislation. Very well presented. Maybe next time you can also try presenting PPT also. That will be more effective. So thank you once again for joining us, and we wish you all the success.
Thank you very much, sir.
So what do you suggest, ma? I mean, now comparing to now present days social policy and social legislations. So what changes or what new policies or legislations are required as of now?
Actually, sir, in every every there are good policies are made in the government, but it is not aware by people. Actually, in so much in the I worked in women and child, so much social policies are available in the MS Building, Majestics, or in Bangalore, but many people are not aware because they think that government doesn't do because even those girls who have finished PG and they UG and they want to go for PG Kannada medium like that, they are also given free education till fourth semester, and the books and all like such legislation are bought in the education, sir. And in the women and child department also, the Modi sir government has done the in the uh, pregnancy time that from the 3 months to the delivery, that all government employees can take 2 days off from their work, and after 7th month they can take maternity leave, and after 6 months after the birth they can come, but nobody knows about that. And free nutrition is available in the government, that about that, and all the awareness is not there, sir, among the people. Only sir, we should tell, sir. Actually, many people are not aware. That's it.
We need to create more awareness on this.
Yes,
The
sir.
government should also.
Both Delhi government and Karnataka government, Delhi is also women and child is doing very nicely, sir. And even in Karnataka also, they're doing very nicely about the women and child department, sir.
I think more and more social workers need to be employed in various service sectors and even social welfare sectors where
Yes.
they can play a greater role.
Yes, sir.
Take-
Actually, many people they study, sir, MSW. After that, they don't pursue in the same field. They go for if they get better opportunity, better salary, they leave this field and go. That's why many this drawback is happening in every social work field. So that is the main concern, because I also saw among my friends that many people left this MSW field. They went to MBA or HR side or call center side because this MSW didn't fetch them what they wanted. So it is very hard to achieve a top level post in MSW, but should work really hard to get our name in the social work field, sir. That's what we should do. A lot of hard work day in and day out. We should do, sir. A lot of hard work. Then only you can reach at least some level. That's what I learned from the 16 years of my experience, sir.
That is true to some extent. Most of the time, because most of the international organizations or agencies they require a good skill set and experience. Though it's not a constraint, but still, a lot of corporates are also looking. But the skill gap between the skill sets and the expectations of the corporates are always, and the language barrier. There are various other things which can, if one can meet up to the expectations by improving the skill sets and the communication skills, the documentation skills, presentation skills.
Yeah, sir. Actually, no, sir. When they take up, they take this is only social work. They take it up, sir. But when they study. But when it comes to field, there is lot of so many things which you have to do extra. That time, that many people drop out from the field, sir. I noticed that when I was working, sir, in women and child, many people came for the job, and after they saw this job, they 1 month only they left and went off because this job is tough and they're not able to do the field work. Field work we don't do means there is no MSW, sir. We are not ready to do field work means.
Yeah, no matter how much we study, but the field work is only where we can apply our theory.
Yes,
And
sir. And if you're going to speak to everybody, first you should have the very simplicity and giving heart. That time that MSW should not come in your mind. You should go as a normal person. You should be very down to earth and very approachable to any type of any class of people, rich, poor, uh, anybody. So then only you can succeed to an extent, not top level, at least to some middle level. Lot of hard work is needed, sir, especially in the field of fundraising. Fundraising is not a very easy jobs, because I also worked in Smile Foundation. They had given me 8 lakhs targets, sir, for fundraising for children. I just completed only some. Correctly, I touched that 8 lakhs because we went, they gave us what to, we have to speak in front of the children in assembly. Correctly, I reached that 8 lakhs. For that, they gave incentives, sir, in Smile Foundation. So like that, every day I used to travel outside Bangalore, sir, fundraising. I only two ladies, you should go and should tell in the assembly about our Smile Foundation, and we should give the brochure, and 1 week we go and 1 week we take the collection. Everybody 8 lakhs, sir, who didn't perform well, they took out of the job also. So fundraising is very important, sir, in the field of MSW.
Because most of the NGOs are funded, so for their survival, funding is necessary.
And it is Corona times, sir. Many people lost my own friends lost the job because they didn't get funds from abroad, sir. Pandemic time.
Many NGOs were also
Yeah, sir. Now everybody's working only in the hospital, or they went off HR side. They took off the bachelor's certificate and they went off. They thought again we can't go back to NGOs. Still that NGOs are not still improving. Still in the they are in the slow stage only, sir.
participants. If you have any queries, you can share. You can unmute yourself. Then share your observation, comments, feedback in chat, or you can also unmute yourself or raise your hand. There are no queries, then we shall conclude.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for the opportunity.
Thank you, ma'am, once again for joining us on behalf of Sri Holistic Health Foundation India, Sri Research Institute Center for Art, Sciences and Wellbeing, and also on behalf of all the participants. We wish you all the success and look forward for more sessions.
Okay, sir, definitely. Thank you very much, sir, once again for the opportunity. Thank you all. Take care.
Kindly fill up the feedback in the chat box before leaving the webinar. It is mandatory to receive certificate, and the certificate will be updated within 15 working days. On the website, you can find the Google Drive link from where you can download your certificates. So everyone, dear participants, kindly fill up the feedback form before we leave the webinar. Thank you. See you all tomorrow at the same time with a different topic and speaker. This Sunday, we are having yoga, child as a child labor as a theme, and next Sunday we are having yoga as theme. That is 12th. We are having child labor as theme, and on 19th we are having yoga as the theme, and on 26th, that is last week of this month, we are having child trafficking, violence, drug abuse, child trafficking as a theme. So anyone interested to present, share with your friends and colleagues, and do join us daily at 6 p.m. and also on Sundays at 11 a.m. Kindly fill up the feedback form before you leave the webinar. See you all tomorrow. Take care.